Hi, I'm Carrie Patrick, your host for Eye on St. Lucie. Alone we are smart, and together we are brilliant. St. Lucie Public Schools recognizes, appreciates, and grows stronger through its partnerships. Today we recognize and celebrate a philanthropic group of ladies and gentlemen whose contributions of time and money make a tremendous difference in the lives of our students. I'm talking about the Fort Pierce Elks Lodge, number 1520. Over 1,300 strong in membership and with a heart for service, this group is unstoppable. Stick around with me for the next half hour and let's meet Lenny Smollicombe, a very active member of the organization, along with Principal Keith Davis and Principal Diane Young, to tell us about what the organization is doing for students in our area. Well, I am so thankful that you are all here today to discuss one of our wonderful, wonderful community partners, and that is the Fort Pierce Elks 1520 organization. Just before we get started and really talk about all the wonderful things your organization is doing, Mr. Smollicombe, why don't you tell us really what your roles are, because I know that you are currently supervising some of the training opportunities and some of the, is it the Harry Anna Trust Fund? Your shoulders are very large and the hats you wear are many, but I think you can probably tell us best what it is you do.
Well, every elk does a lot of good things, and the main thing we try to do is help our kids, help our senior citizens, and our veterans. For the past 11 years, I've been the Florida State Elks State Coordinator for the Presidential Memorial Certificate. For the last 5 years, Governor Scott's Veteran Service Medal Award. But the backpack is very dear to my heart because I think there's such a need for, there shouldn't be a hungry kid anywhere. And my goal and mission in life, and I may not see it, my truly wish is that one day every little boy and girl can wear a backpack for school books and to bring A's, B's, and C's home to their parents. That is very, very admirable, and we do appreciate it. And joining us here today, we have two principals, two of the many principals and students that you impact, but I have Mr. Keith Davis from Samuel Gaines Academy of Emerging Technologies. Wonderful, exciting things happening there this year. And Ms. Diane Young. But Keith, why don't you start and let us know what it is that you and your students have experienced from this fine gentleman and his organization.
I think this is my year 2, and it's a wonderful start because when I first started with Mrs. Smollicombe, it was like last year this time, we kind of started having conversation. But just the impact that you've had with just offering backpacks and the other opportunities for Christmas toys and our camping and everything like that. It was just a wonderful partnership that we've been allowed to grow with you all in the Fort Pierce Elks 1520 Lodge. So that is really appreciated, and by it's been a new STEM MAC that we're looking to continue that effort. So we just want to appreciate you and thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Ms. Young, your relationship with Mr. Smollicombe and the Elks 1520 Lodge is rather deep-rooted and just a variety of opportunities that our community partner has had to impact your school. Let us know what you most appreciate.
Okay, I'd love to. I first heard about a man named Lenny who really was looking to help children, and Lakewood Park Elementary serves students where we are one of the several community schools in St. Lucie County that all students have free breakfast and free lunch, and many of our students do come from homes where food is insecure for them. And so when we first met, we started working on food for our students at school and providing for them. However, over the years, what we do know is it's not just the students in the building, it's their families at home. And Lenny has helped us to provide food, not just for the students, but for the entire family. There have been situations where we've needed clothing for family members, we've needed just items for household, beyond the toys and the other things that the Elks have provided to us. And And I have to say, they've gone the extra mile because our students didn't have summer clothes when they came to camp, and they were wearing heavy clothes and it was hot outside. And I heard that Lenny was coming, and I went out to look in the hallway and I couldn't believe my eyes. We had shorts, we had sandals, we had tank tops, we had summer clothing for children, and so they didn't forget them. Even in the summer, they still remembered our kids, and that makes them very special to us.
So what that brings to mind for me is a pebble being thrown in a lake and this tremendous ripple effect. And I believe you are able to rally the forces and create a tremendous ripple effect, probably a tide coming in, with great gusto and in many situations. You mentioned earlier the backpack program that you and your fellow colleagues at the Lodge work on. How did that start, and exactly how many backpacks? I truly can't keep track. You're doing so much.
Well, first of all, I appreciate the comments, but these two principals, like all your principals, are all top-notch, and they really care about their students, and I really appreciate what they're doing for the boys and girls of St. Lucie County. The backpack, it gets started kind of quietly, and to be honest with you, before I go there, though, everybody's talking about Lenny. Lenny can't do it alone. I have 35 of the greatest volunteers. They're dedicated, and they're all in 100%. And our wonderful benevolent members who donate to the backpack every week with food and funds, along with the grants. But we started, in fact, it was the principal, it was 5 years ago from St. McGain's Academy, at that time, Academy. And she talked to my wife, who was the president at the time of our 1520 Elks Lodge. And at first I said, I don't have time. I got a lot of programs that I'm working on, which was truthful. And then she looked me in the eye. She said, can you help 5 kids? I pushed back the chair. She was a good salesman. And my wife, I got double teamed that day. So I agreed to do 5 kids. And let's fast forward to 2018 and the 2019 school year. We will help more than 300 kids every weekend through the school year, and we're coming up with a program to help these kids during the summer months, because I know there's also a need at that time. But it's not Lenny, it's the Fort Pierce Elks 1520 Lodge, their members, and my teammates. It's not me.
Well, I appreciate that. We do appreciate what a team does and the team effort, and we consider you part of our team, you and your lodge, in order to support kids. And what you have just said resonates very, very strongly. It's not just you're in, you're out with a backpack, or you're in, you're out with a program. This is ongoing. And you mentioned the backpacks and the food that is donated. I also know that recently you were at Lakewood Park Elementary and you presented a check to Diane Young. What was that all about?
Well, I'm also the Lodge grants writer and coordinator. Done that the last 5 years, and with the money from the grants, obviously we have to tell when we apply for the grant what it's for. And how I wrote the grant up, I said it's for a school with a principal and a staff that are dedicated to these boys and girls. And what I was impressed by when we were talking, you can always use reading books, and that set the light bulb off. And so I applied for an Elks Nash Foundation $2,000 grant for reading books for Lakewood Park, and we were lucky enough to be awarded it. And I was very proud to give the check to Diane.
Okay, and I'm going to use your words as a catalyst for my next question also, because this bucket is so full and it's so wonderful about what's going on. You talked about throughout the year ongoing summer programs, and it's not just about what we're doing for children to remain here and participate. You're giving opportunities for students to move beyond the borders of St. Lucie County to camps, to a very special camp, and have a tremendous experience that not only would impact their life now, but has the potential for scholarships down the road. And I believe that Mr. Keith Davis was one who worked very closely with you on that. So let's jump into that.
What? Well, we have a nonprofit camp. It's 462 acres. It's accredited. We have senior counselors and junior counselors. And what we offer, every Elks Lodge in Florida has a minimum of 6 free weeks of camp. The camps run for 7 weeks. 6 weeks is for the kids in Florida, the surrounding areas, and the last week is for the military deployed veterans for their families. But the camp is open all year long for Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Boys and Girls Clubs, and non-profits like that. What we did, we got together, and I want to say your staff was right on top of everything. I had the privilege to be there when they were doing the registrations for the kids, and they were exceptional. You have an exceptional staff. And so we sent some kids. It was a trial, it's new, I think it'll continue to grow. But what makes the camp so important, it lets a kid be a kid. Too many boys and girls live with a single parent or a grandparent, or maybe a regular father and mother, but with a mortgage payment, a car payment, now just trying to keep them fed and dressed, they don't have the extra money to send a boy or girl to camp, and that's where the Elks come in. And when a boy or girl goes to the camp, they don't bring any cell phones, and it's a lot of fun. It lets a kid be a kid. But I'll guarantee you, once a boy or girl goes, by the way, it's open from 9 years old to 13 years of age. Once a child goes there, they'll want to go back until they're too old, and they're not eligible to go back.
So, Mr. Davis, from your perspective and the students that went, I know you all worked very closely together. You've already told me that you're looking forward to seizing this opportunity again.
Yes.
What have your kids said about this?
Oh my goodness. Well, the whole theme of the camp was inspire, connect, and expand. And we had about 20 students that attended this year. And they were 2 different weeks, so they were able to attend. And oh my gosh, Lenny mentioned about the 400 plus acres. But along with that, you have included in that, you have like 155 to about 160 acres of just activities.
Yes.
And you have swimming pools going, you have archery going, they're in cabins. It's all the free food they need. They have a ropes course, so there are a lot of challenges that are there to allow team building. And so the conversations that my students were having when they returned, the trip on the way up was a different trip compared to the conversation on the way back. The conversation on the way back was, oh my gosh, we were swimming this, and then I met such and such from other places and things like that. So to expand and allow students to see something different in a true camp environment and the no electronics was awesome. When I got there and I visited the camp, I wanted to say myself. So, but then they also get the opportunity to be able to see the camp counselors, build those relationships, and if they continue their efforts into the attending camps, they get the option to be able to be a counselor or apply for that one day. So those are opportunities that our boys and girls are seeing. My students, they are still coming up to me, talking to me about, oh, can I go next year? Can I go? So you already have a waiting list, and so we're really anxious and
we'll be
excited.
ready for you.
We will be ready. So,
You know, and if I could just add to that, what it's all about is, is learning teamwork. You're strangers when you come into that camp, but you're friends for life when you leave the camp. And I think that's what it says the most.
yeah.
Well, it falls right in with the philosophy that we have, because great teaching is built upon solid relationships, and so we very much appreciate that. And Mr. Davis mentioned that he's already got kids ready to go. I know people that are watching, if they're interested in finding out, there is a wealth of information on the Elks website, and they can simply Google that and see. And later in the year, when those applications become available, they can check out the information and apply
And the
themselves.
applications are online.
Yes, yeah, and your scholarships as
Right.
well, which we'll get to later. But first, before we do that, many times a call is heard, and it's not for specific clothing or food, but it's general supplies, things that we take for granted, that perhaps we assume every child comes to school with sufficient supplies or goes home and has the sufficient supplies. That's not always the case. So now, as if you don't have enough projects, you're working on a grant. And some of our team members are trying to help with data and things like that to support the grant. It's for 3 specific schools in our area, 2 of which are here at the table today. What all does this grant entail?
Well, this grant, it's by invitation only. I've got so far $10,600 in grants this year, and the only one that's left, and it's only awarded to 77 lodges across the United States. Wow. It has to be for a large community project or program, and I believe our backpack, again, it's more about, it's not just food, it's clothes, it's hygiene kits, if they need books, or if a class, we just recently helped an autism class that a new teacher came in, and the teacher was there before, took the stuff that they had bought, and the teacher was worried about starting school without the necessities that she felt she needed. So we donated a check, and they got everything, and they were ready to start school. And that's what it's all about. But the grant will let us really do more for these 3 schools. I got dreams how to spend it when we get it. And what I will do if we are fortunate enough to receive the impact grant, that's what it's called, is that I would get together with the 3 principals and the staff of your choosing, and we would get together and see how we could spend the money that would go the farthest and the best way to help your students in those 3 schools. And C.A. Moore's is the other school.
Yes, yes. And they're very, very appreciative as well. And I know that we're looking at the warm summer months are closing and the warm fall months are coming because we live in Florida. And with that, we have the holidays. And over the last years, you and your team members have been just tremendous examples of what it is to give back to the community. That does not go unnoticed by our students. And so as we approach, Thanksgiving, the holidays, I know there are plans in place, not only from your organization, but from yours as well. What are students planning to do based on some of the things that they've seen our Elks Lodge 1520 members do?
I think for us, our students and our staff have learned of the art of giving to other people. And through that, for us, because we're in elementary school, food drives during the holiday are a big help for us, not only to help supply food for the weekends for students, but we do have families and there are others in the community that we may not even know them, but we know that there is a need across our entire community for families to have food and some of the supplies they need. Beyond that, toy drives, I will tell you that over the years it's grown and grown. It was always a heartbreak, really, to have small children that you were not sure that they were going to have something for the holidays. And so now, knowing that we can provide some of those things for students so that all of our children can look forward to that holiday season with some food on the table, with sometimes some clothing that they're outgrowing by that time of year, and then to have a toy or something that's special for them, and just it brightens the holidays for everybody.
And Mr. Davis?
Well, some of the things that Diane mentioned, we're trying to do more beautification, so we've partnered with a couple of organizations to kind of get the Jenkins Road cleaned as a giving piece. But also just making sure we are just starting on the inside first. So we do an extension of partnering with the Hunger for the Habitat Homes. That's what we're partnering with. So we've been able to not only give food, but also try to build our middle school capacity to help out in that case. On site, we are doing a number of things. We have on-site STEM nights that we're doing to kind of build that whole camaraderie and making sure that we're able to give. So oftentimes my middle schoolers are partnering with their maybe siblings, but maybe just the younger grades, just to kind of guide them through that process of, the concept of abundance. So that's the whole thing, and you know, I really do appreciate partnering with Lenny and his organization with the Elks 1520, because they've been able to impart that information and share with our kids. So.
And so I know that, as we've said, you've mentored well, the kids see you doing it. You've talked about food, the backpacks, the supplies, monetary contributions, and let's not forget, social skills are very important as we help educate our children from K to 12 in order to be college and or career ready. So what are some of the things that your organization is doing? Because I've got plenty of pictures with you toting hams and turkeys and other food items.
Well, I'll announce it now. I had a meeting with our backpack team and looking over our budget. We've been very fortunate with our generous members, and again, the grants are a big help. What we have done, and everything is ordered as I speak. At Christmas this year, we will bring the 3 schools that we're taking care of 100 belts,
Wow.
100 pair of shorts that they can wear for school,
Wow.
100 shirts that they can wear, polo shirts
Okay.
they can wear, and they'll have 100 kits, hygiene kits. They'll include a comb, a toothbrush, toothpaste, and a little guide how to keep, you know, yourself, your hands clean. There's soap involved in it. And each school will have 100 toys
Wow.
for your homeless kids and
Wow.
kids in need.
Wow.
That's our way of saying Merry Christmas.
Wow. So this leads into a tremendous accolade that I know you are very humble about, and you would never say it, but I'm going to. Mr. Smallacombe is well recognized within the organization, and his teammates, just as he appreciates them, they appreciate him. But even in our community, he is seen as someone who is very benevolent and giving. And most recently, you received the Epic Impact Award. And that was due to, make sure I get this correct, the ability and the things that you have done in order to herald not only just what you've done, but you've motivated others to do it, to impact the lives of children and seniors and veterans in our community. And for that, we just extend a tremendous thank you. That is outstanding.
Thank you.
And I know you always give credit to those whom you work with, and that's the sign of a true leader. It's not what you do for you to make you better, but how you help make others better as well.
Thank you.
And as we get ready to close, we have a few minutes. I know that perhaps you have some projects on the way or some information that you'd like to share with our viewing audience. Maybe somebody's interested in becoming an elk and being part of this wonderful movement taking place. We'll start with you, and then Ms. Young and Mr. Davis, anything you have to share?
Well, we always looking for men and women. I got to be 21 years of age, believe in God, and believe in America. And join us, because the more people we have, more hands that we have, the more great things we can do in our community. And the way I look at life, I sincerely believe you've never really lived until you've done something for someone who can never repay you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Young?
Well, I just want to say that we've had a chance to meet some of the team members that Lenny brings with him to the school, and we know that not everybody's always available to come to the school. But I would really like to take this opportunity to thank everyone that has participated. I know that it takes a lot of organizing. I know it takes a lot of giving on the part of many individuals that I may personally not have the chance to meet. But I get to see the result, and I get to watch the children with the items that you bring. I've listened to mothers thank us, but really thank us through the things that you've done. And I know that the difference that you're making in the lives of so many children and their families. So while we do talk about Lenny, we do know that there are many, many people that are supporting us. And so
Absolutely.
we say thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Davis.
And coming from Samuel Gaines Academy of Emerging Technologies, I want to extend a thank you also, and just letting you know that it's wonderful to see the vision actually start coming and taking notice. I was actually at Gaines Academy as an assistant principal when the backpacks first started about 6 years ago. So to see the start and to see where we are now with it and just how it's trickling out. It's just a grand appreciation for your organization, for the Elks 1520 Lodge, and just the fact that, you know what, the next 5 years, I just wonder what we can do. So thank you so very much.
And that comment that you just made, what will take place within the next 5 years? Over the last several years, we've seen St. Lucie Public Schools just continue to march forward in such a positive way with academic achievements and things that our students are accomplishing through science fairs and moving on to international competitions, the way they are seizing opportunities for internships and experiences here in our community and beyond. And that has to do with the partnerships from folks and organizations like you. We have such aspirations for our children because they are future leaders. And everything that has taken place until now, our best days are ahead of us. And I think I hear that from a very, very smart man. Our own superintendent, Mr. Ewayne Gent, always says that our best days are still ahead. And it's through these type of partnerships that we can look forward to brighter tomorrows for today's students who actually are also tomorrow's leaders. So on that note, I thank each of you for joining us here today.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, sir. The summer months, we've got students clamoring to get on that list and are going to be very appreciative for the things that they are able to receive from you and your organization as we continue through this year.
Thank you.
I'm Carrie Patrick, and this is WLX-TV. On behalf of the station's team, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. That's all for this show, but we invite you to follow us, like us, and watch us on our social media outlets. And as always, keep your eye on St. Lucie.